I told my parents in 2006, and my dad's response was, "I hope you don't get kicked out of the Army." My mom's response was, "I don't understand this at all." My in-laws' response was actually like, "Everyone has their own issues, and this is just yours. This is your cross to bear." And I thought it was very gracious of them. So that was 2006 when I came out to them. This is 2012. And I'm just waiting to go to the Meadows. And I discovered this term, autogynephilia, AGP. Are you familiar with this?
Tell me about it.
Okay, it's where the transgender community hates this term because it creates gender dysphoria to be a paraphilia. Okay, autogynephilia is essentially getting turned on by the thought of yourself being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Traditionally, that was transvestites, right? Transgenderism was viewed from that perspective, a sexual fetish, and that was in the DSM.
Yeah, yep, exactly. With or without autogynephilia, or
Right.
with transvestic fetishism.
Yeah.
So I told you that story, like growing up before puberty, so I'm thinking I'm a true transsexual, but then after that, I would masturbate to the idea of being a woman, particularly a bride, not just any woman, and in a religious context. I mean, it was
so that's what was sexually exciting to you.
That was what was sexually exciting to me. And so I'm like, this is it. There's a thing that I have a diagnosis. This is the diagnosis. And I was so excited to share it with now my ex-wife and the priest, not the psychology priest, but a different one, that I've discovered the term that describes the experience that I'm having.
So can I ask you, why is that so controversial in those circles?
I don't know. I think because I'll guess, the transgender community wants to be normalized. Like the gay community.
Does it delegitimize it?
In a lot of people's eyes, they would just say, you're just a pervert. You might as well be a pedophile.
But it's not. I mean, it's not the same as being.
It's not
pedophile.
even close. It's not even close. But the mockery, that these trans-exclusive radical feminists, TERFs as the term that a lot of the transgender community describes people like J.K. Rowling. It's paraphilias are bad.
So do you think this has led to the rise in trying to normalize transgenderism?
Mm-hmm.
And do you believe that's had an impact on vulnerable youth?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, and I'm deeply disappointed in the trajectory of the transgender community over the last decade. I mean, I don't want to talk about it right now, but I want to get to the Meadows. But that really excited me that I understood what was going on. And I had a meeting with this priest and my now ex-wife, and they said, if you cross-dress again, we're going to excommunicate you from the church and encourage divorce. This is September 10th, 2012. And I've been waiting for a month to go to the Meadows. I'm trying to get help, guys. I'm literally just waiting in paperwork. And they didn't want to hear anything about the autogynephilia, that I was like, oh, I actually have a diagnosis now that it's explained, what's going on in my head, why I'm had shame for so long, and so then I'm on my way back to Walter Reed in Bethesda, and I'm thinking, they didn't listen to me at all, they just wanted to unload, these are the punishments. They didn't really want me to heal. They just wanted me to white knuckle something that I've been dealing with since childhood. And I wrote an email to the psychology priest, that priest who's at the appointment, and my ex-wife. And I'm like, please don't talk to me or come near me while I'm waiting to get help. I'm afraid I will physically harm you if in your presence, because I did not feel heard at all. This is not a threat. And I signed it with deep love and gratitude. She took that email to get a protective order. And next thing I know, I'm in a courtroom. And of course she was awarded the protective order. This guy's got bipolar disorder. He's transgender. The Army just took him through a medical board. He's waiting to go to a rehab facility for 5 weeks.
Definition of unstable.
Unstable. Absolutely. And so the protective order awarded, gave my wife $6,600 a month of my $7,700 a month paycheck for a year. It was unbelievable. And no child care plan. We have a son, who I didn't even say goodbye to. Nothing. It was like so brutal. And my ex-wife's attorney actually argued for the payout to her to go up because we had committed to like $900 a month to the church. And the priest was literally there testifying against me in court. He took out the lines saying, "I'm afraid I'm going to physically harm you," and put it in a Word document and said, "Look at these things that he said." And I'm like, defending, I signed it with deep love and gratitude, and I don't want to be in your presence. I'm trying to get help. I'm trying to go to the Meadows. So after that all happened, the Army kind of bent, and they said, "Fine, you can go." So I ended up there beginning of October, a 5-week program. They talk about childhood trauma. When I talked about my childhood, they're like, "Why don't you just transition?" And I was like, "Because I'll lose my job, I'll lose my spouse, I'll lose my entire social network. I can't do that." "Well, fine, we'll look at it as like a sex addiction, in this autogynephilia framework." The thing is, like, I don't need anything to masturbate. Like, I don't need any article of clothing. I don't need, it's just all in my head.
Well, what's the definition of sex addiction? What makes it an addiction?
I have no idea. That you need more and more of it, and you don't get as much of an effect. So,
is that occurring? Like, is the behavior becoming more and more risky and putting yourself at jeopardy?
No.
Okay.
None of that.
Yeah. So it's just another label that doesn't fully fit your experience.
Yep. But I was desperate. I was desperate for help, minus getting surgery, going on hormones, and becoming a social outcast, as a open transgender woman. And so I went to 12-step meetings for 2 years, leading the meetings,
As a sex addict?
As a sex addict, yep. And
it seems like you're adopting multiple identities based on the professional.
Whatever sticks.
Right? First it's bipolar.
Yep.
Now it's a sex addiction.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And after my divorce was finalized, this is like in August of 2014. All right, I had to go to court to get joint custody of my son. The psychiatrist testified for me that I'm a safe, stable, bipolar, patient. He's going to 12-step meetings. The cross-dressing stuff isn't in the picture. And so I got joint custody of my son. But when the divorce was finalized, which I was still holding out hope that we would be able to reconcile, one of the gay members in the 12-step meeting was like, "You're not a sex addict. Like, you've had one sex partner and you're not into porn. Why are you here? Like, I have so many transgender friends. Why don't you just go get help?" I was like, "I guess you're right." So I went to this clinic in DC called Whitman Walker, and they prescribed me hormones, and they helped me change my name and gender legally. And they basically, I got connected with hundreds, if not thousands, of transgender people in the military, literally like overnight. And
so now you're healed.
I'm healed. Yeah, the shame is gone. There's no more shame.
So that's removed.
That's removed, which, there's freedom in that.
What's the other side, though?
The other side is that I was going to be a patient for life, and it didn't really address my underlying trauma that I've experienced, both from my bicycle crash, these broken relationships, with my wife.
Your life fundamentally changes through your exposure to the psychiatric system.
Mm-hmm.
So you go from what seems to be a high functioning physician athlete,
yep.
With a stable marriage,
yep.
But has this paraphilia.
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
Yeah, I think so.
Probably to describe it, right? And then it evolves into bipolar disorder, medicated, family falls apart,
yep.
and transitioning.
Yep.
I mean, that's a pretty dramatic shift.
Yeah, it took 2008 till 2014.
Okay, I am interested in what happens psychologically when you do undergo that transition. So you did take hormones,
I did.
and then you transitioned to a female. I want to know, does your quality of your life improve from making that shift?
I was in a psych ward within a month for like 3 or 4 days. Yeah.
So no.
So no, no. I had so much fears as far as coming out that I was doing this with my family, that I was actually transitioning, and with my job, because I knew it was not allowed in the military. But the military was kind of in a bind because they were already keeping me with the bipolar diagnosis. So, and it was an Obama, administration, and so kicking someone out with gender dysphoria, I was like the poster child test case for someone serving with gender dysphoria in the military.
Yeah, you were.
And so there were people who were really rooting for me to succeed. The psychologists that I was seeing at Walter Reed, the psychiatrists that I was seeing at Walter Reed, they were cheering me on with the transition. And psychologically, I felt great. I was connected to this LGBT community in DC, and invited to all the parties. And like, it was amazing. I was dancing all the time.
And you're loved.
Loved.
Right? So you
Included,
move from
belonged.
Yeah, you move from an environment of judgment,
Yep.
of being slapped with a mental illness diagnosis,
Yep.
to now you're being celebrated.
Yeah. Yeah.